Now you're going to believe them. Can you take anything away from them? And can you not just think it's their time? It's their time. Now you're going to believe them. I've titled the podcast that for a reason, and I think now you're going to have to believe them. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Two Footed Tackle podcast. I'm your host, Ari Stamatakos. We're back again for another episode, another week of football happenings, football games, transfers, a whole lot of football stuff has happened this week. So we'll be touching on all of that, of course. But I hope everyone is well. We're back again, of course, as we are every week, Tuesday, 6 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, I think. Whatever time it is in Melbourne, whatever time zone it is in Melbourne, it'll be 6 p.m. Melbourne time. We're here to speak about the club and the title for a bit, because I spoke about them a couple of episodes ago, actually. But I can't ignore them anymore. Like, I say ignore them. I can't not speak about them, especially after the week that they've had. But yeah, we're going to be doing that, and that's going to be great. But I hope everyone's well. I hope everyone is well. I hope your teams won over the weekend. I was going to say unless you're a Liverpool supporter, but we drew. So, I mean, I didn't watch the game. I was gallivanting around, indulging in some activities, right, that may or may not have involved alcohol on Saturday night. So I didn't watch it. So I saved myself being bored for 90 minutes by all accounts, which is great fun. So I hope everyone's well. I hope everyone is well. This week has gone very long. It feels like I haven't done an episode for 6 years. I don't know why. Probably because I've been quite busy this week. I've been quite busy this week, so that maybe makes time go quite slowly when I've got too much on. But we're well and truly into the new year now, the 23rd of Jan as I'm recording this. Well and truly into the new year. So yeah, there you go. All right, let's crack on. Oh yeah, before I start, I keep forgetting to plug my stuff. Make sure to subscribe to the Two Foot Attack podcast on YouTube, like the podcast, do all that good stuff. It would mean the world. Notification bell on as well. So when I upload clips. So if you don't want to watch the full podcast, I don't blame you. I take the one of the main talking points. So I'm not sure if you figured out the structure of the pod so far, as my camera's out of focus. We're back. We are. I'll take the non-title talking point, as in the talking point that's not in the title, and they'll go up as a clip on YouTube. I think that's a good formula. That's pretty good formula. So we'll do that. Notification bells on for that. And then if you're listening on audio, and if you don't want to listen to it all, you can do it that way. And I've also got timestamps on YouTube as well. So there's timestamps if you're watching on YouTube. There's timestamps at the bottom. So if you want to come for just A League chat, just skip to about maybe about an hour and 3 minutes. Actually, in saying that, I want to try and condense these podcasts because I can't be bothered speaking for 90 minutes straight. It's just very inconvenient. So I'll try and keep these under an hour. As this top is annoying me. It's very tight. It's a tight fit, this top. I'll try and keep these podcasts under an hour. I think that's a good time. Under an hour, around 50 minutes. I think that's a good time. Anyway, I ramble on for too long. Maybe that's the reason why these go for an hour and a half, because I ramble on for 5 minutes at the start of every podcast. But yeah, that's all. They're the YouTube stuff, and then audio, of course, Two Foot Attack podcast on all the good podcast platforms. Audio, Google, Spotify, podcasts. Google, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. And of course, Two Foot Attack podcast on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. Give them all a like. Give them all a follow. The Twitter, look, I was live tweeting during the World Cup, and it got really tiresome. So maybe I don't know. Should I start using Twitter again on the podcast account? Like, follow my Twitter's great. Ari_Y_Stammer. I'm hilarious on that I'm great. I'm great. It's great content. But should I start tweeting more on the podcast account? I don't know. Let me know if you want to. If you want me to do that, and then I will. If not, I'll just keep posting updates and when clips and stuff are going out. I think that's probably a good way to do it. Anyway, let's move on. Let's crack on with this episode, and we are going to be speaking about Arsenal, obviously, because they're on the title. We're going to be speaking on them. We're going to be speaking on Everton quickly. Not quickly, probably a little bit in depth as well. I want to touch on the Juventus 15-point deduction, Ronaldo Watch. I want to touch on an interview that I saw midweek, and then we'll finish up with A-League chat and who went into footed. So maybe, I wouldn't say bumper episode, but we've got some talking points to go through. So, let's crack on with Arsenal. And, I mean, now you're going to believe them, hey? Now you're going to believe them. Can you take anything away from them? And can you not just think it's their time? It's their time. Yeah, now you're going to believe them. I've titled the podcast that for a reason, and I think now you're going to have to believe them. They're in the pole position, they're in the box seat. 5 points clear with a game in hand, have just walked past 2 potential banana peels with absolute ease. Not with ease, but Tottenham was with ease, and this morning was a thriller. Was an absolute thriller. United take the lead. Fantastic finish from Marcus Rashford. It was a Eddie Nketiah goal to get him back level, and then it was a Bukayo Saka goal, another brilliantly taken finish to give Arsenal the lead. Lisandro Martinez got on the end of a kind of scramble, which went over William Saliba on the goal line to make it 2-2, and then that moment uncannily similar to Danny Welbeck's goal against Leicester in 2015. Uncannily similar. It was a goal that transcended all kind of magnitude and the levels of this goal and what it means and the ramifications for it are massive, absolutely massive. And it could be a goal that in 2-3 months' time we're looking at and thinking that's just won Arsenal the league. It's a moment like, as I regrettably say this as a Chelsea supporter, you can't help but get enthralled by this. Like, you can't help but do it, in my opinion. It's a side that, I spoke about this. I'm gonna be repeating myself. I'll try not to repeat myself. Try and cover new ground. And what I mean by repeating myself is, if you go on the YouTube channel, on the Two for Tackle Podcast YouTube channel, another plug. I've done a clip on Arsenal where I spoke about them for about 25 minutes a couple of podcasts ago. So I'll try and not go over old ground, but you have, like, it's a thing of, you can't help but get drawn to this team. As much as half of maybe not half, a third of my body wants Arsenal to crash and burn. I want City to win the league. The other two halves of me is just utterly enthralled by this story. And a bit similar to when Liverpool won the league. I think maybe this may be the similar moments when Liverpool beat United 2-0 at Anfield, that Mo Salah goal in the last minute. It may be similar in that respect to this game in terms of Arsenal's win. I'm not just because it's against Man United, but what it means, like, I don't know, that extended Liverpool's lead to like 11 points or something, maybe 9 points. So it's not obviously as big a gap. It's still 5 points at the time of recording. With a game in hand, granted, but still only 5 points. So maybe not like that, but Arsenal go to Everton this week, and it's ironic that Arsenal and Everton are the two clubs we'll be speaking about because they face each other. But Arsenal go to Everton this week, and I mean, it's if they knock off Spurs away and then United at home, surely knocking off Everton would be a piece of cake, right? But I don't know if it's gonna be that easy. I don't know if it's gonna be that easy because of the expectations. So and I think this goes for a lot of games that Arsenal will be playing in the back end of the season. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a cakewalk run to the title. It's not, because now Arsenal have become the hunted. The hunted. Yeah, Arsenal have become the hunted really, really quickly. This is the quickest I've seen. This is the quickest I've seen a team go from hunters to hunted. The quickest I've seen. It's happened within the space of about 5 weeks. It's happened in the space of about 5 weeks, where it's now this plucky little Arsenal coming from nowhere to challenge for the title. How cute! To now, oh shit, they're gonna win the league. We need to stop them winning the league. Even when Leicester won it, everyone, pretty much up until Hazard scored that goal against Tottenham, everyone thought, oh, look at Leicester, how cute are Leicester at winning the league. That's funny. And then Hazard sticks it in the top sticks it in the top corner, and it's, oh shit, they won the league, right? Obviously it's different, right? And even when Liverpool were winning the league, Liverpool were the hunted before they ever won the league, right? So obviously the year before was, yeah, so 2 years before they made the final in Kiev, did they? Or was that... No, 2 years before... Yeah, 2 years before they made the final in Kiev. I'm pretty sure. Did they? Because I mean, this is so unnecessary anyway, they made the final of the Champions League. They got within a point. It's irrelevant. They made the final of the Champions League. They got within a point. They got within a point of bloody whatever they're called, City, right? They got within a point of City, so they were already the hunted. They were already the hunted. Like they were 13 millimeters off winning the league before they won the league, right? So it's not like they came from nowhere the season that they won the league. So they were already battling those expectations and those teams going to Anfield and wanting to win and needing to win, more than what they normally would, considering the circumstances. But Arsenal have kind of gone like this in like 5 weeks. So it'll be interesting to see how they're going to transition that, where they're going to be. Can they scrape out those 1-0 wins? Because like all of their wins, I mean, unless I'm mistaken, right? Let's get up their wins. All of their wins have been emphatic. Like 3-2, not emphatic, but they haven't had to grind out a result. I mean, if we're going to look at here, Arsenal versus United, that game, of course, was frantic back-to-back. They smacked Tottenham. They drew to Newcastle, fair enough. Smacked Brighton, smacked West Ham, smacked Wolves, beat Chelsea comfortably, even though it was 1-0, smacked Forest. I mean, they grinded out a result against Leeds. Okay, that was probably the only game of the season where they grinded out a result. Beat Palace, Leicester, Brighton, maybe Fulham. Fulham could have gone either way. But yeah, like that Leeds game. Actually, that's probably a good talking point, actually, that Leeds game. Obviously, when Arsenal beat Leeds 1-0 away from home. That's the kind of bottle that title-winning teams need. And I don't think a lot of people... I mean, I saw this tweet. Arsenal have become the new mentality monsters. Like now they're past the point where they genuinely look like a side that's been challenging for the league for like 5 years. If you had told me Arsenal have had the club trajectory that Liverpool have had, I would be like, yeah, that sounds about right. Like over the past 5 years, like Champions League finals, FA Cup finals, Carabao Cup finals, Premier Leagues. So that kind of makes sense. So they've got this like bottle and this resolve about them that makes them so composed and comfortable under pressure. Like even their goal, that one at the Nketiah goal, like it was just composed. Like Nketiah kind of, it was instinct. He just flung his foot back and it connected and it went in, right? Which is a great finish. Like it's a great finish in terms of instinctive striker's goal. It's a good goal. Like it's a good instinctive finish. But but that kind of shows their kind of bottle that they've got. They know how to handle the big moments. Even the cutback from Zinchenko was great. I know it kind of took a deflection and fell to Nketiah that way, but I mean, yeah, Arsenal, hey? Who would have thought this? Who would have thunk it, right? I mean, let's go back to my preseason predictions, and let's actually conclude where I actually had them. If I'm not mistaken, it was. Hopefully, I've got them on my phone somewhere. I do. I had Arsenal finishing 5th, so you know what? I'll actually take that. I actually take Arsenal finishing 5th. I'm just looking at some of my predictions, and geez, I got them horribly wrong. I got some of these horribly wrong. Anyway, we'll touch on that at a later date. But yeah, Arsenal, once again, I mean, I love Mikel Arteta. I think I've said that countless times on this podcast. Countless times. I love the way he goes about things. The way he goes about things is literally like he's Pep Guardiola. Like, he just is. Which I know, obviously, both Spanish, both, obviously, mentor, student. No. Yeah, mentor. Apprentice and student. No. Master and apprentice. That's the phrase. Jesus Christ. Master and apprentice type thing. Of course, both played at Barca. Pretty sure Arteta played at Barca at some stage. We were definitely in the academy, I think. And yeah, both coach in a very similar way. Both have very similar philosophies. Both conduct themselves in the same way. I mean, if you stick around to who went into footage, you'll know. You'll know what I reference it. Well, you understand a little bit of what I mean by that. But yeah, there is something about this Arsenal team that I can't help but just draw myself to, and I can't help but be, like they're actually going to do it. Like now you're going to believe them. They're going to win the league. If I don't want to jinx them. I really don't want to jinx them. But if they don't win the league from here, after the season that they've had so far, 14 wins or something like that, 15 wins, 16 wins. I mean, if they don't win it from here, 16 wins after 19, 5 points clear with a game in hand, haven't lost the league game since October. Since September, which is even more insane. Yeah, like there's just so many factors that, in my mind are screaming they have to win it. They have to win it. They've got, so like I said, 5 points clear, game in hand, 16 wins from 19. Their one loss came in September. They've now avenged that loss. There's just something in the air where they have to do it. They cannot not win it now. If they're going to do it, if it's any year that Arsenal are going to finally break that drought, it's this year. It is this year. I don't see a world in which they don't go on and run away with it from here. Maybe not run away with it points-wise, but just keep this momentum going and just keep winning and winning and winning and winning and winning. City look fallible. Newcastle probably aren't a real threat, nor United. And then apart from that, no one else can really put their name in the conversation. It's their time. It is absolutely their time. Absolutely their time. And it's not only their time to win it, it's their time to create a dynasty. It is their time to create what City have got and what Liverpool have got, kind of. It's their time to do that because their squad's so young, man. Their squad is so young. I mean, when Arsenal fans are going on about the age of Leandro Trossard being 28 years old, and then people are like, oh, he's not, he's too old. I'm like, Yeah, you think he's too old because you've got Saka, Martinelli, and Emil Smith Rowe and Odegaard, who combined age of like 40. Of course, you're going to think someone 28 is old, right? But that just goes to show how well that squad's been built, how well that squad's been put together, and not only put together but maintained and solidified and got continuity and been able to gel together. That is something that's been most impressive. Most impressive. That started towards the back end of last year, tailed off towards the end where I think they went up to Newcastle and got a shocking result. I think they lost 2-0 or something up at Newcastle, and that kind of derailed their top four push. But this momentum from Arteta's Arsenal has been coming since about January of last year. Like, the back end of their season last year was very solid. Very, very solid. And it was one poor performance that stopped them from getting top four. So the way that Arteta's been able to carry on that momentum and just improve on it and improve on it and improve on it, I mean, full credit has to go to him. Full credit. They would not be in this position without him. He's the perfect coach for them right now. And there's a reason why the board and the higher ups have stuck by him and have given him the faith and given him the confidence to go on and do what he's done. Because without it, he wouldn't be where he is right now. So it is kind of. I mean, you look back at their 8-game losing streak or their 8 games without a win in 2020, the back end of 2020. I think that was Arteta's first full season. I think it was. It was Arteta's first full season. And you look at their results. I think they went on something like a 7 or 8 game streak without a win in the league. They lost to Burnley, lost to Wolves, lost to Villa, lost to Leicester, I think. And then, fun enough, they broke that drought by betting Chelsea 3-1, which is just ironic. But yeah, it's funny how things work out. It's funny how things work out when you're patient with a manager. When you're patient with a manager and you give him confidence and you give him money and you give him the faith, it is quite ironic how things work out and how things can be able to just switch on a dime like that, on a dime. This time last year, Arsenal were languishing, not really doing a whole lot. They turned it around, and 12 months on, they're going to win the league. Arsenal are going to win the league. Without a shadow of a doubt, Arsenal are going to win the league. I can't see a way in which they don't. It's gonna be one hell of a last couple of months of the season, I can say that. Because City will be relentless. City will be relentless in their pursuit. I mean, they go 2-0 down to 2-0 down to Tottenham, and then they come back and win quite comfortably, and then they kill Wolves basically. Like it was like, just get out of the way, get out of the way. So that's basically what Man City did. They saw Wolves and they were like, all right, you see this big Norwegian bloke, he's gonna pick you up and put you over there, and we're just gonna continue on. And yeah, Thursday the 16th of Feb, Arsenal City. I'm gonna have to get up for that. Have to get up for that game. At the Emirates? Are you joking? Have to get up for that. 24 days. Have to get up for that game. That's gonna be insane. Chelsea will probably be playing on the same day, but I mean, will anyone blame me for watching that game instead? Like, Jesus. No, Chelsea aren't playing. What a shame. Oh, no, Chelsea are playing the Champions League. What? Oh, yeah, right, okay. Anyway, getting distracted there. But yeah, no, it's hell of a... Gotta win it, right? Have to win it. I mean, yeah, I think I'll end this segment. I'll finish things up by referencing what I referenced at the very start, and that was this goal from Nketiah this morning was Danny Welbeck's goal against Leicester in 2015. It was. It's the same. It is the exact same. And a lot of people speak to Arsenal fans. They won the league in that moment. Like when that goal goes in, Arsenal won the league. I think that was a little bit like that. Might have been in March. I think that might have been in March. Welbeck goal versus Leicester, right? Yeah. So it was actually on the 16th of Feb. It was on the 16th of Feb, right? And where are we here? Can we say I can't say anyway. It was on the 16th of Feb, so not that far, 3 weeks, right? But when Welbeck scored that goal, Arsenal had won the league. People thought that's it. Arsenal going to run away with it now. They're going to break it. And then Olivier Giroud goes on a 15-game goal drought and they choke, right? But so that moment is so significant. That goal from Welbeck was so significant in that moment. Look at the reaction from the crowd. That was at a period of time where the Emirates was a library, right? And look at the reaction from the crowd in that moment for that goal. It's the same. It is the exact same here. The goosebumps, which I'm getting now, thinking about that goal and thinking about that moment, right? Thinking about the Peter Jury commentary, of course. And then thinking about how it's translated a solid 7 years later, nearly 8 years, right? Translated to this moment where it's been from that point onwards, it's been that way for Arsenal, right? They've gone through 3 managers. I mean, if you count Freddie Ljungberg, 2 managers. It's countless different players. I don't think there's one player in that squad that is present in this one. Maybe Xhaka, the exception, if Xhaka was even there at that stage. So there is a kind of feeling of they can't do it again. They can't have this moment, this crowning moment, and not go on with it. Maybe it's come too early. Maybe they needed this moment to come in March, to come in April. But I just think that they are different this time. They're different this time around. And they're different in a way of they cannot not win it from here. They can't not do it. It would be sacrilege. It would genuinely be criminal if City escape with another trophy. I can't see that happening. I don't see a world in which they don't do it from here. Maybe it's I don't see a world. I don't want a world. Do I? I don't know. Arsenal fans are unbearable. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm a football fan, right? I'm a Chelsea fan and I'm a Victory fan, but I'm a football fan, right? I love the sport more than I love my club. So these stories are more. I think, obviously, I don't know. If I lived in England, it might be a bit different, right? But I understand. I want. I'll tell you what it is. It's seeing the reaction from the Arsenal fans. I just said I know that they're unbearable, but now they know. Like before, if you would ask an Arsenal fan in October, are you going to win the league? They'd be like, yeah, of course we're winning the league, mate. Yeah, easy, comfortable. They'd play it off. Yeah, of course. If you ask them now, they're feeling it. They know it's right there for them. They know it's right there, which makes it all the more interesting. It makes it all the more dramatic. It makes it all the more must-watch TV, because you watch Arsenal's 95th minute winner or 90th minute winner against Manchester United. You go to work the next day and you ask your colleague, who's a who's a fucking Arsenal fan, where you go out for coffee with your mates the next day and you see your Arsenal fan, see your mate who's an Arsenal fan, and you say, "Are you going to win it?" And their reaction isn't, "Mate, we're going to win it comfortable. We're going to win it by 10 points. Easy." It's, "Yeah, we might actually do it, you know. We might actually do it." And that giddiness, that excitement, I don't know. I like feeling. I like not living vicariously through people. I think that's a little bit unfair, but I love seeing that emotion in people because I know what it's been like to have that emotion. I know what it's like to have that emotion, like when Victory have won premierships and when Chelsea have won Champions Leagues and stuff. Like I remember thinking in my head when Riyad Mahrez' shot in the Champions League final in Porto goes over the crossbar. I remember looking at the clock saying it's just ticked over the allocated time, and I remember thinking, "We've done it. Like we've actually done it." And that giddy feeling, even though I didn't express it at the time, that giddy feeling is one of the best things you'll ever as a sports fan. It's probably better than actually. It's probably better than actually win. Maybe not actually winning it, but it's such an underrated feeling. That feeling when you know something it's so close, and that giddiness, that excitement. I do enjoy seeing that with other people, and I do enjoy seeing the reaction and the emotion when you say to an Arsenal fan, "Yeah, you're gonna win the league," or when you say to like I don't know, you say to like a Napoli fan who are once again in a very similar position to Arsenal. They're so close to breaking a drought, right? Of course, Napoli's has gone on for a little bit longer, right? But you go to a Napoli fan and say, "You're going to win the league." I think you're going to win the league. And that feeling, because they're not used to it, they don't know how to react. It's such a funny and like such a good thing to look at and observe, and it's the only thing that can make people feel like that. Like football is just unbelievable, like unbelievable, right? It does not even compare to anything. It doesn't compare to anything that you can ever think of and ever envisage. I'm tired. That butchered that. Yeah, I think this goes beyond the point of Arsenal. This goes beyond the point of Arsenal and goes to like a football fandom thing. I know I'm ranting a bit, but this is my podcast, right? I can do what I want. I know I'm yeah, but it goes beyond that, and it goes to like a football fandom type thing, and how it can and how it can kind of differentiate how football can be so different to so many different how football can be different for so many people, and what it can do for so many people, and how it can make so many different people feel. It's quite a funny thing how you're seeing people's reactions change. You're seeing people's expectations change, seeing people's emotions change because of 11 people on a park, right? Kicking a ball into a goal, or trying to kick a ball into a goal. So seeing that, and seeing how Arsenal fans at the start of the league, Napoli fans at the start of the league, other teams. I mean, I would say Freiburg, but they got hammered, so they're probably not in the title race anymore. But I mean, you can use Freiburg as an example. Freiburg reached their first cup final in their history last year. Their entire history, their first cup final, I think, or their first cup final in 134 years, or something like that. Maybe not that, but they haven't won a trophy in their entire history, and they reached the DFB Pokal final, right? They lost it, granted, but that feeling, like when you look at people who are this close from experiencing something they've never experienced, it's such an interesting thing to observe, because you see the cockiness that every football fan has. If you ask Arsenal fans at the start of the year, they'll be like, "Yeah, top three comfortable," right? No one really believed that Arsenal would finish top three. Like, no one deep down thought Arsenal would finish top three, right? But a lot of Arsenal fans would be like, yeah, top three, Arteta's got the boys going. And Gabriel Jesus got a boot, right? They're playing it up, they're being cocky, they're being arrogant. It's good. It's the gamemanship that football provides, right? Which I think is brilliant. I think it's great. But now it's becoming real, and now it's actually, we're actually going to win the league. It transcends, it goes beyond that cockiness and beyond that anger and beyond that kind of arrogance, and it goes back to kind of those fans being like shy and being like timid and nervous because they don't want it to get away. Because Arsenal fans have experienced it being this close and have it snatched away from them. They don't want it to go away, so they're just living it in the moment, and they're taking it, and they're just trying not to jinx anything. They're just kind of being patient with it and just waiting for things to happen. And the same goes with I mentioned Napoli is another case study. It's another fantastic case study. It's like unreal. Like, it's unreal how football can do that to people. And I mean even with even Socceroos, right? Something that me and I'm sure a lot of you watching and listening will have experienced throughout the World Cup. Like, I predict us to go through. In my heart of hearts, like if I had to put, if it was a life or death and I had to pick, I would say that we didn't, right? But whether we weren't going to get through, if it was life or death. But I had that confidence, I had that faith that I thought we were going to get through. But I did not believe that we were going to go through until Matt Ryan held the ball in his hands when the clock ticked over 97, 97:01, 97:02, 97:03, and we're 1-0 up against Denmark. And that moment, that brief moment, for about 5 to 10 seconds until the full-time whistle goes, similarly to how I said with Chelsea in the Champions League final in Porto, right? That feeling of, you can feel yourself smiling. You can feel yourself smiling because you know we're done. It's there. We've done it. Like, it's there. We just need the confirmation. So you can feel yourself smiling, but you can't express anything yet because the game's not over. And you don't want it to get away from you. And you just want to wait. And that's what Arsenal fans are going through right now. That timidness, nervousness, being shy. I mean, the Arsenal fans that I've spoken to anyway. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, it's quite fun. It's quite interesting. Anyway, that was a bit of a tangent, but it was bit of a rant, bit of a tangent, but it was quite I just thought it was pretty poignant the way that they didn't catch a goal in particular, but the way the Arsenal season's panned out, the way that it's kind of transcended a lot of footballing, traditional footballing tropes, and conventions about football fandom and stuff like that. Where you get the arrogance and the cockiness of, yeah, we're going to win the league, of course we're going to win the league, but when it's actually real, when it's actually like, oh shit, we might actually win the league, it's, no, we're just taking it game by game, just taking it how it goes, yeah, we'll see, but City are a great team, we might get injuries. It's quite funny. It's quite funny. And I respect those who have carried on this cockiness, this bravado, those Arsenal fans that have carried this bravado about them. I respect them. I respect them for that. But yeah, I just felt that was quite interesting point to pick up. Yeah, let's move on. I said this was going to be around 50-minute episode. It's not. It's going to be an hour and a bit. Because I ramble. I just ramble. All right. Let's okay, sorry, got distracted. Let's move on. Let's touch on Everton. I'm not going to speak about Everton too much because we don't have enough time, but let's speak on the Toffees. Now, I'm going to get this out of the way. I want Everton to stay up. I'm just going to get this out of the way straight away. I want Everton to stay up. Not because I like Everton, because of Frank Lampard. So I have an inherent bias within this conversation. Just want to put that plain and obvious. But if you're an Everton fan watching, try and take what I say as objectively as possible. Whether it's good or whether it's bad. All right. I want to go through a couple of things with them, and then I want to speak on them tactically. So Everton have had a shit season. Started okay, I think. Anyway, they started alright. They drew like a bunch of games. They were not bad. They went like a mini undefeated run. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken. yeah, at the start of the season, they drew to Forest, Brentford, Leeds, drew to Liverpool, and then they beat West Ham and Southampton. So they went on like a mini kind of undefeated streak, not really 2 wins in that, but yeah, it was all right for Everton, not bad. And then they've capitulated. They've lost their last three, 4-1, 2-1, 2-0. They drew to City somehow, and then they lost to Wolves. Got smacked by Bournemouth twice in 4 days, which has got to be the lowest of the low. I mean, losing 4-1 and 3-0 to Bournemouth within 4 days has to be the lowest of the low, right? But yeah, so when we look at Everton, before we speak about them tactically, we got to speak about what they are, and they are a side that's too good to go down. Obviously, used massive quotation marks because the side that I mean, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I'm pretty sure the first time that quote was ever properly used was the West Ham team that went down with, I think Scott Parker was in that team and maybe Joe Cole may have been in that team, I don't know. But yeah, that West Ham team of the mid-2000s, that was too good to go down. I think that was when the first time that term was coined properly. But yeah, so I use that term in quotations because no team is too good to go down. No team's too good to go down, right? So we need to get that plain and obvious. Like, Everton can definitely go down. Like, it is a super, super realistic possibility that Everton are going down, right? And their form doesn't show to me, and the way that they're going about things doesn't say to me that how do I say this? It doesn't scream to me that they're a team that will turn things around, if that makes sense. It's not a team that is going to be there for the whole season, battling, fighting every game, every point up for grabs type thing. They're a team that will buckle under pressure, I think, because I've got an inexperienced manager. As much as I love him, he's a very inexperienced manager who's had a lot of heartbreak in his managerial career. I mean, he, with Derby, didn't get promoted, and then with Chelsea, lost an FA Cup final and then got sacked. So like, let's put this into perspective about what Everton are, right? Everton, the club, great club. I don't, one of the clubs that have never been relegated, I think. I don't know. I might be wrong in that. But have always been a Premier League team. In my lifetime, if you were to say Everton, and I would immediately associate them with a 9th to 6th place finish, good FA Cup run, and probably like one worldie of a player. Like, I don't know, like Ross Barkley that one season, or Lukaku that one season, right? So that's what I associate Everton with. But they're not that team anymore. They're moving into a new stadium not at the end of the next season, at the end of the start of the following season. So start of 2024-25, I'm pretty sure. Which is not next season, the season after. So they've got 2 seasons to not get relegated. Like, if they're in their shiny new 50,000 seater stadium in the Championship, good luck to them. That's not going to go down well, right? And for me, I hated when... I'm a Chelsea supporter, right? I will fly to London and start a riot if Chelsea dared to move out of Stamford Bridge, right? I can understand. I didn't like how West Ham moved out of the Boleyn. Moved out of Upton Park. I don't like how they moved out of there, and I mean their trajectory. It went up for a bit, back down to shit, right? But I understand Goodison Park isn't exactly the Emirates in terms of facilities, right? And isn't exactly the new Tottenham Stadium and all this kind of shit, right? But it's what makes a club. It gives it its soul. For a football club, the stadium is almost like a church for a lot of people. It gives that same sort of vibe. When you go there and you're arm in arm with a lot of people, right? I don't understand how you can move to a corporate to just a corporate machine, which is the new stadium. I don't like it. Anyways, They can't be in the championship for their new season, and they've got to steer the ship ASAP. Whether that means Lampard gets sacked, I don't know. But if you do sack Lampard, who do you bring in? I mean, a perfect person for any club other than Everton would probably be someone like Rafa Benitez. But obviously, he should never have been there in the first place. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life to hire him. I mean, blows my mind how the board thought that'd be a good idea. So you need someone. If you're going to get rid of Lampard, firstly, you got to have a replacement lined up straight away. Secondly, that replacement needs to be a Premier League proven manager who will just steer the ship. I know Everton fans don't want to say this, but I probably don't want to hear this, but someone like a Big Sam to just come in and just do a job, someone of that ilk is probably going to be your next best option. Because can you afford to take a risk? Can you afford to try and pluck someone out from the Netherlands, or like from the Dutch league, or from the Portuguese league, or from the German league? Can you afford to pluck a manager from obscurity and kind of give him a sink or swim job with much experience? Probably not. You probably just need a manager who will come in, know what he's doing. We're in a relegation scrap words, right? We're going to sit back, 2 banks of 4, long balls up to a big man, get a small man around him and score goals, right? Something like that, right? That's what they need if they're going to sack Lampard. I think they should stick with him. I think Lampard is good enough to get the job done, in my opinion. Granted, probably some bias inherent in that. But let's move to. Actually, let's touch on the players. When we look at their squad's not that bad. Like, their squad is not that bad. Let's look at the most recent game against West Ham, right? Pickford in goal. Solid Prem keeper. Mina, Cody, Tarkowski. Solid. Like, it's fine. It's a fine Premier League defence. Coleman on one side. I mean, if this was 2013, it'd be a great right wing back, but it's 2023. I don't think he's going to be able to do the job. Onana and Idrissa Gana Gueye, again, fine. Mikalenko on the left-hand side, probably a little bit raw, but still okay. And then Demarai Gray, Calvert-Lewin and Iwobi up front. They're fine players. Like, they're fine, just Premier League players. McNeil and Davis off the bench, okay. You've got Malpai and Gordon and these guys off the bench. So maybe your depth's not that great. But your starting team is not the worst thing in the world. Like, I've seen worse. I've seen worse sides stay up. Definitely. I mean, Sunderland in that 5-year stretch or 3-4 year stretch or whatever it was where they stayed up with no one. With fucking, Adam Johnson playing right wing. And you know you're bad when he's playing right wing. And bloody, what's his name? How can I not think of his name? Lee Cudmore playing. And these type of blokes, right? Shit, footballers. They stayed up for 4 years in a row. This Everton team is well and truly capable of staying up. So I think this goes down to tactics. So let's speak on Everton's tactics, shall we? Let's do that. And let's touch on, how do we start this? Let's go to the tactics, right? And let's bring up some average positions. So, Everton this season have floated between 2 formations. The 4 at the back and their 3 at the back. Their 4 at the back goes similarly to how 4-3-3 normally sets up. Sets up to how a 4-3-3 normally sets up. It's not really much of a muchness in terms of a 4-3-3 way of playing football. You have your double pivot in midfield. I'll bring up the average positions in a second. Your double pivot in midfield with the number 10 floating, your 9 being relatively central, and your wingers out wide, attacking fullbacks. Much of a muchness with their with their 3 at the back formation. However, what they're missing is like an identity. Like, they're missing an identity, and I'm going to bring up some stats. I will show you this a little bit later. But they're just missing an identity, and by I mean identity, I just mean, what are they trying to achieve? When Everton have the ball, I've watched Everton this season, right? Granted, I haven't watched them closely. I'm not a fanatical Everton supporter, right? But what are they trying to achieve when they've got the ball? Someone tell me. Like, what are they trying to achieve when they've got the ball? I don't understand. I just don't understand what they're trying to achieve. So, that's the main issue. You can play any formation you want. But if you don't know, you can play any formation you want. But if you don't know if you don't know how you're going to play, what's the point? Like, if you don't know how you're going to play, what's the point? So let's go to the average positions for both their 5 and their 3. And I mean, if you look at their 3, sorry, I'm looking down on my phone because I'm just trying to find a few more stats that will help me back up. So I apologise. But if you look at their 5, once again, just much of a muchness. Like, just much of a muchness here. Nothing special. Really, really nothing special with their 5. It's literally, if you were to imagine how a 5 at the back system would play, it'd play like this, right? It'd play like that. So, okay, so let's bring up, I don't know, I think this one's the 4. Great. Let's bring up their 4. This is their 4 at the back formation. This came from their draw against City. No, it wouldn't have. I don't know which game this has come from, but it's definitely come from a game which I lost. Like I said, much of a muchness. You've got the back 4 sitting relatively central. I mean, you've got the back 2, sitting relatively central, sitting in a normal way that they would play. Nothing much to scream about there. And then you've got the fullbacks on either side. Playing obviously a little bit more of like an elbow formation, which is something that a lot of teams have kind of done in the past, right? And it's worked. Like, it's worked for the most part anyway. But when you're trying to play Mykolenko as a left-sided centre back, obviously Patterson is the one on the right pushing up. Fucking hell, man. Like, if you're gonna play like a kind of, if you're gonna play a system, put players in their positions that will fit their system. Mykolenko's not a good defender. He's not a good defender. He's not a good defender of the ball, in my opinion. So why are you trying to force him in a position which gives him the need to defend a lot more? Like I said, you got Iwobi playing as that 10 floating out to the right hand side. And then you've got McNeil being their most aggressive player with his average positions, right? Just much of a muchness. No way of playing football. No identity. Nothing. Move over to their 5. This is their 5. This is their 5. Once again, what is that? What is that? If you're like, I don't get it. It's a 5, but it's playing as a 4 with Seamus Coleman playing as a right winger. Like, once again, if this was 2013, it'd be good. It's not. He can't run anymore. Why are you trying to play him as a right winger? Like, I don't get it. I don't understand. It just screams panic. It screams stupidity. Unaware of what Lampard's unaware of what his best play, of who his best players are, of what his best team is, of where they fit. It's just such a lack of direction, lack of anything, just so poor, just so poor. I mean, there's been 2 players this season for Everton, and it's the double pivot which are shown, and that's Onana and Garnagay. Without them, I mean, if they had to start Tom Davies in midfield, then Jesus Christ, like, God help everyone, right? But they're in a position now where they can't afford to try and be complicated when they can't do the simple stuff well. Everton suck. Like the way that they play football is terrible. Like I said tactically, like I said before, it's much of a muchness with their formation. What I mean by that is it's much of a muchness for good teams. Like, if you put this average position and just replaced it with Arsenal players, you'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. That's about right. That's about right. They've got a left back. Maybe if you mirrored it and played the right back as the elbow, as the right sided centre back, then yeah, that works. Ben White at right back, that works. He can sit. Zinchenko slightly more advanced, perfect. You've got the number 10 in Odegaard giving the freedom to move around. You've got Saka Martinelli on that left hand side. No, Saka on that right hand side, being the most advanced player. That works because they're getting their good players in their best positions. It doesn't work. Like, they're trying to shoehorn players into kind of areas that they don't fit. And what this leads to is bland, boring, fucking subdued football. I've got stats to bring this up. So here's just some couple of stats which I came across in doing my research that didn't surprise me in the slightest, but maybe giggle. Everton are one of the slowest teams in the league at progressing the ball forward. They have a direct speed of 1.22 metres per second. Now, this is a stat that comes from the analyst, theanalyst.com. What this means is that it takes, for every second that elapses while they have possession, they progress 1.22 metres on average, which is one of actually the equal second slowest in the league, and the other two teams that are slower or equal is Brighton, who are equally as slow, and Man City. Now you look at that and you think, oh, Brighton and Man City, that works. That works in terms of they're good. Man City are great. Brighton are really good. What's the problem with this? Well, normally you see a team be slow, but have a lot of passes, a la Man City, a la Brighton, which means, they're slow, but they can pass, wait for options. Or you have that, or be quick with a lot of passes, a la Newcastle. Newcastle, bish, bash, bosh, up the pitch, straight away, direct, high intensity, high tempo football. Everton don't have nearly enough passes per sequence for this to be a good way of playing football. What they're doing, what Everton are doing is that they're passing around the back, centre back to left back to right back to centre back to DM to centre back, and then they run out of options and they just fucking hoof the ball forward. Or they try and force a pass. Because no one's moving, there's no patterns of play, there's no triangles, there's no ability to work and off the ball movement to create angles and to create traps and to create space in behind or space out wide. It's just centre back to centre back to centre back to centre back to centre back, right back, left back, DM, attacking midfielder, centre back, and then long ball forward because they've run out of options. That's why they're so slow, but they don't pass enough to wait for these options because they can't wait for the options because no options are arriving to them. And this has led to them having the second lowest shot creating actions per 90 with 17, and the third lowest goal creating actions per 90 with 1.20. They don't create anything. To put into context, they concede the second highest touches in their penalty area with 27.4, and they concede 28.4 shot creating actions per 90, the second most in the league. So they create 17 shot creating actions and concede 28 and a half, pretty much. And the reason they do this is because the reason why they can't create is because they have no pattern of play. There's no way of playing football. There is no way of progressing the ball up the pitch. The only way that they progress the ball up the pitch is by forcing something. That's all they do. But you can't. That's not a sustainable way of playing football. And this is a stat that I found fascinating. They have the third lowest passes per defensive action in the league, 16.4. Now, what this means is that passes per defensive action is the number of opposition passes allowed outside of the pressing team's own defensive third divided by the number of defensive actions by the pressing team outside their own defensive third. So what that means is the lower the number, so I think Leeds lead this stat with 9.7, I think. Leeds lead this stat with 9.7. So what that means is that Leeds, for every 9 passes, there's a defensive action. Whether that's a tackle, interception, clearance, press, something along those lines. For every 9 passes of the opposition outside of Leeds' defensive third. Right? So the opposition's offensive third. So Leeds press high and they impact quickly. 9 passes per defensive action outside of Leeds' defensive third. Everton out of 16 allow 16 passes until they do something, until they can be bothered to do something. Which is like, to me, okay, what are you doing then? What are you doing? Are you sitting back? Are you trying to sit back? But you're not. Why are you sitting back when you concede 27.4 touches in the opposition penalty area? Or in your penalty area? You're not sitting back well enough because you're allowing teams to get into the box. it is just a complete shambles, complete and utter shambles. The way of playing football is non-existent, and it's, Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit A, Exhibit B. What is the point? Like, what is the actual point? I don't want to rant. I just can't be bothered. I just can't be bothered anymore. I don't want to be too negative, but yeah, they're in a hole, deep hole. They need to fix it ASAP. I just thought it was pretty good to do. I thought it was interesting to do a slide analysis on them, but yeah. I think we'll finish on that. Basically, actually, no, the rounding thoughts, just find a way of playing football and stick to it, because you're going to go down otherwise. You're going to go down. No team's too big to go down. No club's too big to go down. And I don't think you'll be playing championship. I don't think you'd want to be playing championship football in your shiny new plastic stadium. It is what it is. Let's move on. Let's finish things up with 3. I wanted to speak about the A-League in depth, but I don't have time. Fuck's sake. All right, let's touch on 3 quick talking points. Juve's 15-point deduction. This came out of nowhere, didn't it? I feel like for most people. So basically, Juventus were found guilty of exaggerating transfer funds. I think that's what they're being coined. Exaggerating finances and basically doing all that shit. So from what I understand, basically, Juventus are a publicly traded company. So they're on the stock exchange. So every financial year they need to announce their annual reports, right? As all publicly traded companies need to do. And basically, what was found is that they have exaggerated transfer fees to make it look like their money is different, right? This apparently, the Ronaldo transfer is one of them. The Pjanic Artur swap deal was one of them. I'm assuming Alvaro Morata is involved in one of them. I wouldn't be surprised if he isn't. But apparently there was something along the lines of 63 potential transfers that are along these lines. So no good for Juventus. 15-point deduction, which has been handed down, which is effective immediately. So they currently sit, I think, 11th. Where are they? Yeah. They currently sit 11th. Oh, 9th, sorry. They sit 9th with 23 points. Yeah. A lot of people saying, "Oh, he's going to ruin the club." It's not going to ruin the club. They're just going to. They'll probably still end up finishing in the Champions League spots. They're only 11 points off 5th. They'll probably still end up finishing like 6th. They'll get into the Conference League. They'll be fine. It's just quite funny. It's quite funny how like people. So I don't know why I pause there. Quite funny people like, oh my god, points deduction. Oh my god, the club's in turmoil. It's not. They've just been fined and had a points deduction. They're going to be alright. Let's move on to Ronaldo Watch. We're going to be doing this every week. So this was his first professional game. I'm not going to speak about that bullshit friendly, that utterly stupid friendly. He scored 2 goals and they lost 5-4, which is something I don't really care. Ronaldo, let's see what the boy did, shall we? Let's see what the boy did. I should probably favourite it on my FOTMob actually. Cristiano Ronaldo, first game for Al Nassr, and they won 1-0. Anderson Talisca goal. Ronaldo had a 6.9 rating according to FOTMob. He had 4 shots, 2 key passes actually, so a bit of playmaking from Big Ron. 2 blocked shots. One of his shots were on target. He had 1 successful dribble. He was dispossessed 3 times. Had 1 offside. 1 headed clearance. 3 recoveries. So he's doing some off the ball work. And he won 1 of his 5 ground duels. So, good on him. Didn't score. When do we think his first goal will be? When do Al Nassr play again? They play again on Friday in the Super Cup. So we'll see if he makes an appearance in that. How absurd is it? He's playing in Saudi Arabia. That's so sad. Anyway, Al Nassr sit top of the table, 1 point clear of Al Hilal, in second place with a game in hand. See if he can win a trophy. That'll be quite fun if he does. All right, let's finish up before we move on to the A-League. I want to speak. Yeah, I'll touch on this quickly. So, this is something that came across my Twitter feed this morning, and I watched it. I was very fascinated by it. Jesse Lingard. Jesse Lingard did an interview with Stephen Bartlett, who's has a podcast on YouTube. Who interviews a whole lot of different people, and it was quite a fascinating insight, utterly fascinating insight. Go and seek it out. Just Stephen Bartlett on YouTube will come up. It's a fascinating interview. Very open, very candid, very emotional, and I implore everyone to go out and watch it. I implore everyone to go out and go and seek it out and watch it, because it's something that we don't really see from footballers these days. There's something we haven't seen from footballers ever. Is this utterly honest, raw, candid interview. And I mean, we praise a lot of people. We praise a lot of footballers for being honest these days. But what that means is being honest in interviews and saying, yeah, that was a shit decision, or I should have scored that goal, or we played shit today, or something like that. That's not that's honesty, yeah. But I don't give a shit about that. I want people to speak about their fucking lives and speak about their personal lives and really, really get deep and really like I don't know how to describe this. Be open and be candid and be emotional and let their guard down, because a lot of people think footballers are superheroes, and a lot of people paint footballers out to be these unbelievable figures of human strength and these infallible people. Footballers are just as fallible as everyone else in every regard. From a good perspective and from a bad perspective. And footballers are just as fallible as everyone else. And footballers make mistakes, and footballers go through stuff that every single person goes through. And it's hard. I can't imagine the pressure on Jesse Lingard when he scored that FA Cup final goal. The change in his life from that moment would be immeasurable. I assume everyone knows what FA Cup goal I'm talking about. The FA Cup final goal against Palace, I'm pretty sure. It's immeasurable. It was a very open, very candid. It was a very good interview. Very, very good. Very good interview. So I implore everyone to go out and watch that. To go out and watch that and seek it out, watch it. It's a very good interview. The Diary of a CEO is the name of the actual podcast. I'm sure you all know who this person is, but in terms of I'm sure you all know who the Diary of the CEO is. You've seen his clips definitely, but there you go. Just wanted to touch on that. Thought it was quite interesting. Let's finish things up with some A-League chitter chatter. Let's finish things up with some A-League chat as we end this podcast, as we end this episode. Let's start with the biggest news. Well, the biggest news is that Dwight York has left MacArthur, and it was announced on the coverage just as you do. Like, I want to say who actually did it. Who actually did it? Was it who announced it? I want to say who announced it. Was it Andy Harper? I think it was Andy Harper. Quickly. I need to find it quickly. I think it was Andy Harper. Yeah. So, okay. Andy Harper just said on broadcast of the Western United game, I'm pretty sure it was, that Dwight York has left MacArthur. This is such a another terrible fucking look for the league, isn't it? Another terrible look for the league. It's just stupid. It's just stupid. He just apparently he said the team were pub players. I don't know. It's just another shit thing about this season. And I know they've already got a replacement coach in, which is good, but still, like, it's just not a good look at all. Terrible. Not good, not good. Not good for the league, not good for MacArthur, and another big name. Not sticking to this league. Fuck me, can we... I mean, I know... I mean, you can't put Nanny in the same brush, but Charlie Austin leaving, York leaving... Not good, eh? Not good. Oh well, it is what it is. Quite funny I was just announced, but, like... I don't know what that's going to mean for MacArthur. I mean, MacArthur were doing fine. Like, they weren't doing that bad. Like, in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't like they were fucking bottom of the league, right? It wasn't like... It's not like they're bottom of the league. They're sixth. Granted, they've lost 3 out of their last 4, but they're still sixth. Like, you can turn it around. Like, anyways, like, it's just not good enough. It's just not good enough. For the league standards, it's not good enough. Like, it's just not good for the league. York can fuck off, honestly. If you're just gonna piss off from a club, get fucked. Like, honestly, like, if you're just gonna do that, just jump ship in the middle of the season and call the team pub players. Like, get fucked. Honestly, get fucked. Doesn't even have any coaching experience, I don't think. You coach the A-League All-Stars. Yeah, good on you, mate. Jesus Christ. Anyway. They host Western United, so it'll be interesting to see the reaction from that game, and because Western United need a win, they need a win big time to get back where they need to be, because to get back where they need to be, they need to win big time, and 1-0 FC is well and truly back, over Western Sydney 1-0, Victory 1-0, and Sydney FC 1-0, and they drew to Newcastle and Brisbane 1-0. Granted, there was a 4-0 loss to Melbourne City in there, but that doesn't fit my narrative. City well and truly top running away with things. Going to be an interesting finals race, I think, because Central Coast are obviously up there, but can they hold it in finals? Who knows? Are they still riding a little bit of momentum? Who knows? Western Sydney, of course, had a very good start to the season, have slowly dropped off. As games have progressed. Adelaide are always going to be thereabouts. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting back into the A-League season, no doubt. 2 more things I want to speak on. Nick D'Agostino leaving to Viking FK. If you want to hear my full thoughts on this, go on over to the Inner Sanctum YouTube channel. At Wednesday, 9am Australian Eastern Daylight Time, there will be a video. Basically, I've got a new series on the Inner Sanctum YouTube channel called Aussies Abroad, where we go through some performers from the Aussie, go through some Australian footballers that play overseas and going through the weekend's performances on their behalf and looking at who's the best player, analysing, all that good stuff. I'll be touching on daggers for a little bit in that episode as well, for sure. So I haven't actually recorded it yet, but I know I definitely will be, so yeah. Go over to the Inner Sanctum YouTube channel, 9am Wednesday, for my full thoughts on daggers. My brief thoughts: shit for victory on the pitch, good for victory in terms of the cash money. If it's over 500k, it's great. I think it is over 500k. If it's something like 700k, that's really good. Shit for victory in terms of on the pitch, good for off the pitch. More of a incentive to go and poach these underutilized players that are playing in other A-League clubs and give them a second chance. Victory have someone on the bench who needs some more game time. He goes by the name of Nisham Philippole, and he needs some more game time, otherwise some other club's going to come and poach him. I want to speak on the Diamante goal. I mean, mamma mia, right? Fucking what a strike. Like, that is an unbelievable finish. And I think Alessandro Diamante has been so underappreciated by a lot of A-League fans, I feel. Like, I just think he's one of the best marquees to come out of this league. I think he's like 48 years old. He's a pensioner, and he's still banging him in from 40 yards. Yeah, it was an unreal strike. Such a good finish. And he has his class, his swagger, this arrogance, his bravado. More characters like him in the league, the better. More characters like him in the league, the better. And he's a player that brings people to games, especially when he was at his pomp early on at Western United, a little bit more so, less so now as he's aging and as he's in and out of the side, but he is still unbelievable. Like, to watch, he's so graceful on the ball, technically brilliant, and the football IQ is more than every single A-League player combined, right? He's just so intelligent. So, Yeah, unbelievable finish. Mamma mia, right? Fuck me. And let's finish on Macedonia Park being sold out. We spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, maybe last week, a couple of weeks ago, about the A-League grounds. Yeah, 4K is great. If you're selling at 4K, you could probably sell at 5K. So it's a good measuring stick. It's a great measuring stick. I think, like I said, I think A-League clubs need to adopt this similar mold to what Perth have done with Macedonia Park. Just these small, rectangular, intimate, intimidating, but also family-friendly, but also vibrant stadiums that hold 10, 15K at the absolute most. It's much better than playing in 35,000 fishbowl stadiums, 45, 50, 60,000 fishbowl stadiums that aren't going to get filled. You create demand to go to games by having games sold out. So it's good. It's only a good thing for the league. Granted, it's only 4K, but you have to start somewhere. Let's move on to who went into footer. Let's finish things up. So this is basically the segment on this podcast where we go through some players, coaches, staff, manager, organisation that has done something daft or stupid or just ridiculous over the weekend. And I want to start this. I want to start this segment by someone. He didn't do anything stupid. He just did something very funny, and it's Mikel Arteta saying the word "in it" in a press conference. He said something along the lines of something in it. Like he's grew up in South London. I say in it as well, so I just found it quite funny that a bloke born in Spain is saying the word in it. He's well and truly adopting. I mean, I say like he's just moved to Arsenal, but he's well and truly an Arsenal person now saying the word in it. It's quite funny. Anyway, let's move on. Let's finish things up with the preview of the week. What do we got? I don't think we have Prem games. I don't think. Do we have midweek Prem games? No, we got EFL Cup and FA Cup. Great. So no Prem to speak of, unfortunately. Pretty boring. Oh well, is what it is. Some A-League as well. Midweek A-League, did I say? Yeah, Australia Day A-League. Big Blue. Which could be great fun. I'll be out gallivanting that night for sure. All right. Thank you all very much for watching this episode of Two Foot Cycle Podcast. Appreciate it all. Appreciate you all watching and sticking around once again. Make sure you subscribe, like, notification bell, all that good stuff. All the socials as well would mean the world, and all the audio platforms as well. Thank you very much for watching. Speak to you guys next week. Stay well, stay safe. See you guys next week, and goodbye.